Hey y'all, it is nice and quiet outside. The game's on inside. And I'm guessing this isn't going to get a whole lot of views live because I'm sure y'all are watching the game. Although now that the halftime is over, maybe more of you are looking for something else to watch. So anyway, I wanted to do another video today, and the one that I wanted to talk about was, what if I can't teach my kid? Or can I teach well enough? This is something that so many parents are worried about. Can I teach? Am I going to be able to do this justice for my kid? And it's a totally valid concern. However, I'm here to tell you that you don't have to worry. And there's a few reasons why. First of all, homeschooling is just an extension of parenting. Think for a minute about all the things you've already taught your kid, all right? They can tie their shoes because of you. They can get dressed because of you. These things don't seem like they'd be a big deal, but these are not things that a child out in the woods is necessarily going to learn on their own. You know what I mean? These are skills. These are things that without you, they would not know. And you have proven that you can teach your kid. And when you think about what you did to teach them those things, it is honestly not that different from teaching academic stuff. When we think about academic subjects, we get all scared and think, oh my gosh, this is so different. It's not really that different. Now, I'll grant you, math, that can be a tricky thing. And it's one of the things that scares parents the most. But I'm going to get to that. You don't have to worry about that either. So I got notes. So that's the first thing I want you to remember, is that this is just an extension of what you've already been doing. You can teach your kid. You really, really can. Okay? Next thing I want you to think about is the fact that not every classroom teacher can reach every single kid either, okay? I'm sure we can all think of a time when we had a terrible teacher, a horrible teacher, who did not reach us, could not reach us for whatever reason. It's not like if you take your kids out of that environment, they're suddenly not going to have access to fantastic teachers, okay? You are the teacher that your kid needs. You already know how to reach them. You know their personality. You know them so much better than any other teacher is ever going to know them. And because of that, you can make a lot of mistakes, and that relationship is going to make up for it. And your drive and desire to do well are going to make up for it. And you are going to find a way to reach your kid. And on those few times when for whatever reason y'all are just not clicking, okay? Or you hit a subject that you really do not know how to teach. There are so many resources out there, so many resources, so many programs online that are fully taught. You don't have to do a thing other than just make sure your kid shows up. You know what I mean? There are classes in your community. There are tutors. I mean, if worse comes to worse, you can find a private tutor for a subject, okay? Just remember that. There's always a backup. There is always a plan B. If somebody else who's going to be able to do this, if you really and truly find out that there is something you just can't teach, okay? But I also want you to remember something that a lot of people forget. You know, I was an elementary and middle school teacher, which means that I was certified to teach kindergarten through 8th grade. It had absolutely nothing to do with the content that I knew, okay? I didn't graduate college knowing everything I was going to have to teach kindergarten through 8th grade. That's not how it works. Teachers have the teacher's edition with all the answers and all the explanations and all that background stuff. And homeschool curriculum comes with the teacher's edition. So you get that inside track. You're going to get that inside information that, is kind of like it was always, the teacher's edition when you're a kid, right? That you have those answers. You have that knowledge and that resource that is going to help you to teach. So don't think, oh, I don't know any of this stuff. No teacher knows all this stuff. When you get your first year, your first teaching job, you're starting from scratch, like pretty much everyone else. The things that they teach you in teacher college, okay, are classroom management. They teach you different strategies for teaching, but the vast majority of those strategies have to do with a group dynamic. And when you're teaching just one kid, you don't really need those, okay? So Don't get hung up on this idea of, oh, I'm not a teacher. Oh, I'm not sure that I know how to teach. You know how to teach. You've already been teaching your kids, okay? Don't let that scare you. Don't let that worry you. Lastly, something else I want you to think about is the fact that when you really break it down, there are actually only 4 skills that you have to teach your kids. You need to teach them to read. You need to teach them to write. You need to teach them math. Now, granted, math has a lot going on with it, but, okay, like we talked about, extra classes, tutors, teacher's edition, you can do it, truly. And you need to teach them critical thinking, okay, which most of the schools aren't teaching. So you teach your kid that, they're going to be ahead of what they're getting in the public school anyway. When you think of all the other things, science and history and all of that is reading, right? And critical thinking, reflecting on what you've read. Reading comprehension is critical thinking, okay? Math, quite frankly, is critical thinking. So there are very few base skills that you need to teach. If all you did was teach your kid how to read really well and think critically about what they're reading, how to write, how to compose, like handwriting, yes, but also how to compose, how to put your thoughts down on paper in an organized, logical way. And you taught them even just basic math, okay? But you also taught them how to research. Everything else for the rest of their life, they're going to be able to figure out. Think about it, right? Anything else that you need to know, as long as you know how to read and you know how to look up information, you're going to be able to learn anything that you want to learn. Think about how you learn things now. For us to learn, okay, what do we do now? We go to WikiHow, or we go to YouTube and we watch a video or we read an article because we know how to read and think critically about what we're reading and then learn something from it. Those are the only skills that you have to teach your kid. Now, okay, your state might say you have to teach all these things. Okay, yes, you have to teach all these things. But in terms of the skills that you need them to have for the rest of their life, it's those 4 things. You can teach those 4 things. You really, really can. Take a deep breath. Tell yourself you can do this. Think about the foundational skill, what you're really striving for, what you're really going for, and what they really need to know when they leave the nest, okay? If they know those 4 things, they're going to be fine. And you can do that. I promise. Have a great night. I will see you all tomorrow. Go Rams.